Hey, I'm Marla Davies. Welcome to Twisted News, a half an hour of entertainment that's a little skewed to the right or a little skewed to the left, whichever way you look at it.
I'd like to know what your definition of twisted is.
Crazy.
Deranged.
It's an adverb.
It's something that's not really there, but it's sometimes, if you're not careful, it is there all the time.
Twisted News!
It's a total mess.
Twisted News. Y'all get that?
You got it. Twisted News.
In the house.
In the house.
When you don't know exactly what's going on, but you know you like it, that's twisted.
Twisted News. Can you tell me what your definition of the word twisted is?
Twisted, kind of like all intertwined, mixed up, bent over backwards, slippity slide on the twister with the Wesson oil, maybe. Twisted?
Loony, crazy.
Groovin'.
This is Twisted News.
How would you define the word twisted?
I haven't a clue.
It's a imaginary thing, I think. You have to, everybody has their own concept of twisting, like that.
It's just weird, wacky, zany, wild.
Hey, this is Twisted News!
Well, I guess some sad news has come our way. This morning, Jerry Garcia, our friend, my brother, passed away. And I guess not much can be said about that, except that perhaps it's a big loss for the world, for anyone who loves music. We also have to remember that his life was far more a blessing for all of us. And I think we should, perhaps, if we're going to dwell on anything, dwell on that. Thank you.
Since this is a chemical dependency facility, I presume that is a problem. I am not privy to his private life, so I can't say it. It seems a reasonable assumption. Whatever his problems were, he had made a very clear commitment to dealing with them, and his body couldn't keep up.
I know you better gonna miss me when I go.
I can say I love Jerry Garcia, and I am not alone in saying that. I'm Marla Davies. This is Twisted News. Certainly finding about the news of Jerry Garcia was twisted, it was sad, shocking, as death always is. Tonight we will pay tribute to Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead. Being a Deadhead, going to a lot of shows, one of my favorite parts was the tribal ritual. We would converge, we would rejoice, we would reflect, and find inspiration. And the saddest part of the whole thing of losing Jerry is if we would lose all of that, and I hope that we are able to carry on. The lyrics of the song say, someone's got to turn the page. The page has been turned, like it or not. It is our turn to carry the torch and continue the tribal stomp of what the Dead have started and done for the last 30 years. Tonight, Twisted News looks at the life of Jerry Garcia and celebrates the Grateful Dead.
Who wants an extra? All of it, everything. He'll give you everything you need.
August 9th. I'm calling to give you my condolences. Oh, sorry. Kind of sucks.
Offering and sending my condolences on the death of your friend, your comrade, one of your spiritual directors, Jerry Garcia.
Sorry to hear about Jerry.
I feel so bad about Jerry.
It's kind of interesting that, he died in his sleep, so it's really kind of a cosmic decision. It's a decision by the universe, and he bonded a lot of us together. It was a wavelength that he communicated with us on, a vibration and a wavelength musically and spiritually, and tied a lot of, literally millions of people together. And all our consciousnesses were interconnected by his guitar.
The words of Mickey Hart at the Jerry eulogy at the Polo Field really touched me. And they went something like this. The Grateful Dead has given you the power. You have it now. You have the groove. You have the feeling. You've been working on it for over 30 years. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Take your Deadheads home and do something with it. We haven't done this for nothing. It's been said the Grateful Dead are not the best at what they do. They are the only ones that do what they do. And now, the Grateful Dead. Nothing comes for free, and there's nothing you can hold for very long. And then you hear that song come crying in the wind, and it seems that all this life is just a dream. I'm Marla Davies. Tonight, Twisted News celebrates the life of Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead.
This music comes off authentically as itself. That is to say, it's hard to say really what exactly it is. It's electric music with drums. It's like rock and roll, you know. It has the same instrumentation, but it's really Grateful Dead music, whatever that is.
What we're going to have is a moment of silence for Jerry Garcia. And we want you all to do it with us. So,
It's all been said, it's all been done. I just want to thank Uncle Jerry for all of it. People keep talking the Dead, Garcia, and there's a lot of people out there he did studio work with, David Grissom for one, and to remind you, if you haven't got it, you haven't heard anything until you heard Uncle Jerry do the Teddy Bears Picnic. Good night, Uncle Jerry. Sleep well. Thank you.
The music's always there, always will be there. I think the main thing, that, you know, the staying power for me is the fact that just about everybody I'm close with, we have that in common, and including my wife, and that was one of our common bonds, was the fact that we both went to Dead shows, and that's something that I can, you know, it will never go away. It's something that's there. That's the big one.
Jerry Garcia was a master, a Lennon, a Charlie Parker, one of the all-time greats. He's given me 20 years of live concerts and albums to listen to. He leaves the rest of us a body of work that will last forever. I say peace, I love you, and good night, Jerry Garcia.
He was a tremendously talented guitar player. When I was a kid, I used to actually follow the Dead, and some would say that that's what led me to the most f***ed up life that I've ever had, and some would say that's what opened my mind. I don't know, you know, but he would be sadly missed.
I think if we believe in something, if I believe in the love and the community about the Grateful Dead and the spirit of it, that just because Jerry's gone out of body, to me, it's a really important thing to carry on, you know, to keep coming together and to keep being a family. And I don't know, it was about that to me, just about loving each other.
He came by my house a couple of times. We drank beer, just talked. Probably we may have smoked some funny cigarettes, I don't know. And I would meet him often kind of on the road. Matter of fact, there was a hotel in New York called the Chelsea Hotel that impoverished people ended up. And I used to spend time with the Grateful Dead there.
3 years ago, I was in the hospital dying from hepatitis C, and my liver was giving out. And actually, I had gone into a coma and woke up with a new liver. And the story was that I heard that I had 24 hours to live, and Jerry and the Grateful Dead gave the okay to. They said they would finance it, and I got a new liver out of the deal. And so I feel pretty close to Jerry for pulling me through. I wish I could have done the same for him.
You know what's going to happen now? Conventions, Dead conventions. That's what I want to see happen. You know, big 40-foot screens. They have them all taped. Why not? Put the music on the sound system, have members of the Dead, you know, and have the music go, and just kind of set up a thing, maybe at the Warfield or whatever, and try to capture a little bit of that so the people can come together. That's what I'm going to miss. I'm going to miss all the people that were there.
Jerry Garcia has been quoted in the past as saying that he wasn't the Grateful Dead. The Grateful Dead is so much bigger than any of the members or former members of that band. The Grateful Dead is all of us. I mean, we're all part of the Grateful Dead. Anybody that's been a part of that magic that takes place at a Grateful Dead concert. So I personally, in my heart, feel that the Grateful Dead, in some form, and I don't think I can speculate what that'll be, but in some way, I think Grateful Dead music will be heard again. I think it would be a mistake if anybody tried to step into Jerry's shoes. I mean, that would be a total failure, because nobody is ever going to be Jerry Garcia. There's one Jerry Garcia, and there never will be another one.
Nobody played it sweeter than Jerry. Nobody said it sweeter than Jerry. And absolutely no one could ever replace Jerry Garcia. But if the Grateful Dead does decide to continue in some fashion, I will be there, and I'm sure you'll be there too. I'm Marla Davies. To continue Twisted News tribute to Jerry Garcia, I've compiled some interview tapes spanning 30 years of the Grateful Dead, and it all started on a little house in the Haight.
Drug use became the emblem of rebellion. Drugs emerged from the shadows into the mainstream of American society. The mecca of the new drug culture was Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco. And when Harry Reasoner visited in 1967, he encountered a rock group that was just starting down the road to fame and fortune.
This is the house of a popular local band which plays hard rock music. They call themselves the Grateful Dead. Their concept of a new style of life unites them, and that concept is, in most cases, drawn from the drug experience.
Do you think that your movement or your idea, the hip idea, is essentially connected up with drugs?
Yeah, I would say that's a large part of the framework. I think that most of the people who are hippies now came to it through drugs.
Yeah, but it's not a dope movement. We're not trying to spread dope.
In essence, the scene has grown up with us.
What was it like? It was the most fun you could possibly have on Earth in life. It was a fantastic thing to be able to participate in, because it was a chance to try anything. And we were not famous, you know, we were just a bunch of guys playing music, you know, playing instruments. There was no form, really.
The Grateful Dead played on that long, strange trip for over 30 years with Captain Trips at the helm.
Are you kidding me? I couldn't leave these guys anywhere. No, they won't. They know me too well, you know. So it doesn't work that way. It's the way it works is, say in a piece of music, a tune or something like that. Somebody will come in with their tune and say, "Here's the song. Here's the way it goes," and that means really, here's the melody, here's the lyrics, and here's the chord changes, and here's the feeling. And if they have some ideas about, I want to hear one of these kind of a sound like this when this happens or something like that, they'll bring up whatever ideas. Sometimes the ideas are quite complex, sometimes they're very simple. But the thing is that nobody will do what anybody tells them to, you know. See, that's the way it works in the Grateful Dead. But people will say, yeah, that's a pretty good idea, but I think I can come up with something better, you know. And eventually it turns into something that's not what you wrote, you know, specifically, but you have to learn to trust the process. I mean, if you're really in love with your own ideas, the Grateful Dead will kill you, you know. So it's one of those things where you have to be willing to let your material be transmuted by these guys, you know, these crazy people, you know. Hey, they're taking my music and making it really weird, you know. So it's just, I mean, it's a thing that you either accept it or you don't belong here. It's that simple.
And of course, the Grateful Dead's music will never stop, thanks to the band's liberal stance on taping.
Collecting is a whole thing, you know, which is, I sympathize somewhat. I used to tape bluegrass music, so I used to be a guy running around with, you know, I sympathize with that. And back when I was taping bluegrass music, they used to have, at a lot of the places where they had bluegrass music, which were these outdoor parks, they have them spread through the South and the kind of Midwest, where people go on the weekend, like Sunday afternoon, and they bring picnic lunch and the family, and it costs like $1, you know. And they come, and there's like a half a dozen acts, most of them local, but there'll be one group, say from the Grand Ole Opry, one headliner. The rest of them will be local pickers and stuff like that, and families and what have you. And a lot of these places have rows of outlets right on the stage, so people bring their tape recorders and plug right in. You know, this goes on all the time. It's the coolest thing in the world. You know, I thought, wow, what a great idea when I was a taper. You know, and I always thought, well, if people want to tape our music, that's fine. You know, I mean, when we're finished with it, it's gone. You know. If somebody wants to tape it and collect it, whatever, that's okay.
Twisted News pays tribute to the Grateful Dead and the life of Jerry Garcia.
At the twilight's last gleaming whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red flare, the bombs bursting in air, they proved through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the
Comes a time when a blind man takes your hand and says, don't you see? You got to make it somehow on the dreams you still believe. Don't give it up. You got an empty cup that only love can fill. Indeed, stay kind. I'm Marla Davies. And now, with our Twisted News tribute to Jerry Garcia coming to its end, I will leave you with the music of Jerry Garcia. Peace.
We sat together in the park as the evening sky grew dark. She looked at him and he felt a spark tingle to his bones. Then he felt alone and wished that he'd gone straight and watched out for that simple twist of fate.